Action! Here we are. We are cutting our first field of hay. Very exciting. As you can see, I've got my coat on. It's absolutely freezing. It's the end of June. We've had beautiful weather. And now, just when we start cutting the hay, of course, it starts to get a bit chilly. We've had a bit of rain, but it's really important to cut the hay once all your flowers have flowered. That's the key thing, so that continues year in, year out. But anyway, here's Arthur, who is going to explain a little bit about the hay we've cut. So Arthur, when do we flip it? Because we've cut it today. Yeah. When do you flip it?
But it won't flip it on Wednesday. It won't flip it Wednesday. Tuesday, let the air in.
Tuesday or Wednesday, that lets the air in, and then you know that it's ready when this has gone that lovely hay colour.
Hay colour, yeah, you smell it. You see, there's no sap in it at all, so it should dry pretty quick.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It should be ready by Thursday.
And then you were saying a really key thing about ragwort. Ragwort, remember, is the yellow flower, and the cinnabar moth has a amazing yellow and black caterpillar that eats it. However, Arthur, what's wrong with it?
Poisonous.
It's absolutely deadly for livestock. Well, for cattle and horses.
It's all right green, but it's not when it's dead.
Yeah,
it's poisonous when it's dead.
When it's dried out, and those poisons, I guess, get stronger and stronger in the grass.
Yeah, but it will kill you.
It'll kill us, will it?
You pull it in, it should.
Yeah, I've pulled a lot of ragwort. I've never worn a pair of gloves.
They tell you that if they can get into your skin,
yeah,
if you blood through that way.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I've never.
And Arthur, what is your favourite field to cut? You were just telling me a moment ago.
That one down bottom of near the main road.
Yeah, cowslip spinning.
That's right, yeah.
It's a beautiful field. It's a proper meadow, and it smells absolutely divine. A little bit like fresh bread, would you say?
That's right. Well, it smells like proper hay.
Proper hay.
Yeah, like when I was an old boy, used to cut hay, and it used to smell like that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Arthur, jump on your tractor and we'll watch you.
Okay.
Thank you. There we go. Arthur's revving it up. Super duper, he's going to flip round, but I have to admit, when I smell that, it really is lovely. It's beautiful. There he goes, spinning round, and then he's going to come all the way back. It's a really happy time of the year. Before the harvest starts, we do all our hay. We get that ready for the animals, my mini herd. They're going to be eating a lot of this. And it is a bit thin on the top, to be fair. The grass isn't that thick. However, it's a bit dry up here. But when we go down into the dip down there, that's when it gets really, really thick and tall. And that's perfect. So here's our tractor again. And I love that view of the village. It's so cool. Loving the countryside. It is marvellous. So many different varieties of grass and all sorts of goodies. Look at that, masses of grass. We let the air in. That's really good. And we've seen lots of moth and insect action, which is great. One of my favourite moths is the silver Y moth, and we've had lots of those zooming about. So I'm a little bit sad that some of them have now got the chop. However, that is life, and we just got to get on with it, haven't we? We always have these lovely areas underneath the oak trees, lovely grassy patches, a little environment for all our bugs and creatures to enjoy. And look at those acorns, they're beginning to develop beautifully. We've still got a few months to go, and I'm hoping we're going to have a good acorn crop. And there is Arthur in the background coming to scoop up that last little section. We don't want to waste anything. And here he is. Here's that incredible ragwort. As you can see, it's quite a big plant. And as Arthur said, it's really bad news for horses and cattle. So we've got to make sure that it doesn't get in the hay. However, I do quite like ragwort because, of course, it feeds the cinnabar moth. So I pull up most of it, but make sure I leave a little bit of something out of the way. It does spread, so you've got to be a bit careful. Anyway, there we go. That'll be ragwort. But there are no caterpillars on this one, so I'm not quite sure what happened. And right down here, you can see that little guy. That is the cinnabar. He's very small at the moment. He'll get at least 2 or 3 times the size of that. So I'm going to leave that plant because I don't want to take away everything. There's a lovely big old boy. There we go. Look at the colours on that. Isn't it beautiful? Absolutely lovely. Well, Arthur can't get in to mow around these 2 dead old ash trees. So I'm going to leave a little clump of ragwort there for those cinnabar caterpillars to feed on, and then once they've done their thing, I'll pull them up because I don't want to poison the horses, which will come in here next. It's a big moment, and we have the birth of a fabulous hay bale. There goes Arthur with his baler. Any moment now. Wonderful piece of kit, that. Absolutely amazing. And it produces those bales. They're about 125 centimetres wide, and it is such a joy to have proper machinery which helps with all this kind of thing. Now this year's been a bit strange for producing hay, because just when we wanted it to be nice and wet, COVID came along, the sun came out, and it stopped raining. So that meant that our grass didn't really grow as much as we would have hoped. And now, of course, it's beginning to rain. So it is always a problem with farmers that you've never got the weather just right. So in fact, we can't get 2 cuts of hay off this. In fact, we rarely get 2 cuts. You get 2 cuts of hay, one early around sort of May time, and that only works when you've got new grass that's been sown. So for about 2 or 3 years, you'll get super growth, and then you'll be able to do cuts. But this is This is old grass. We've had these paddocks down for many years, so we only get that one cut, and we're now doing it in the middle of July. We started the 1st of July, and we've just been off and on all that time. And in fact, as Arthur was explaining to me, you can tell absolutely every time. Early in the season, the wildflowers are smelling very, very fragrant and wonderful. Later on, those flowers have seeded, which is what we want. That's good news. And of course, then you end up with just the wonderful fresh grassy smell. And if you have a good whiff, I mean, that's delicious. I mean, if I was a cow, I'd be all over that. So all of this grass here was cut yesterday. It was then flipped today so that it gets a chance to dry both sides. And then, of course, Arthur is zooming around collecting it today. So it's been a really quick process. And then the other key thing to remember is that once those bales have been produced, and if I swing round, there he is, once they've been produced and dropped off, it's really important to leave them for a few days just to cool down, because obviously inside it'll be quite green still, and the temperature can rise, and then they do catch fire. So the last thing you want to do is produce a massive heap of round bales which then catches fire. So it's really important to let them have a cooling down period, which is what we're doing now. And then in a few days' time, we'll load them all up and then put them under cover, and we'll feed those to our cows in winter when they come in off the grass. But the other thing to remember is that, of course, you don't just make hay with grass, you can make silage as well. And that just means that if you're a bit worried by the weather, you think it's going to rain any moment, you would cut it and then wrap it in plastic and then just shove it outside, and it stays perfect, ready for cows to eat later in the year. However, if you puncture the bag, everything goes mouldy inside, and then you've got to bin it. So you don't just need to produce the hay. Silage is great, but I'm a bit of a hay man, so that's what we're doing here. And you can see here, this is the field which has been cut. We haven't yet turned the hay, and it's absolutely flat as a pancake. So the last thing we would want here is for it to rain, because then it would ruin the hay. So tomorrow we're going to get on and turn that and then bale it just as soon as we can.